Good morning. We're going to start with a little meditation. Hey, Chrissy, miss you, girl. And then we're going to dive into a Dharma talk about yoga. Imagine that. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be a part of this virtually and to know that there's still a warm hug of humans around that care about the same things and that are here to uplift the world. So I'm so thrilled to be part of that. We'll find a comfortable seat wherever you are. Ideally, you'll have a cup of coffee near you. Close your eyes for a moment and just take a breath to get inside your body. Inhale through your nose. Exhale to relax. Again, inhale through your nose. And just kind of pulling your pieces together. Oftentimes we live on a million different time zones, so just notice where you might be other than here and pull yourself back in. And then exhale to relax. We'll be aware of our entire body, feeling your legs against the ground, your butt. Feel the strength of your spine and the softness of your heart. Breathe to soften the shoulders and to let your arms fall in whatever place is the most relaxing for you. Yeah. And then just become aware of what the quality of your breath is this morning. Quality as in, is it rigid? Is it tight? Is it fluid? Is it peaceful? Without changing it too much or judging what it might be this morning, just notice what the breath is telling the body about what's true about the world. Because the way we breathe informs the body what's up. And then the way the body feels informs the mind what's up. And then what the mind has decided is true about the world is pretty much how we experience the world. And so we'll just breathe in such a way that we cultivate a little bit of presence inside of our body, being aware of every cell of our body, from the tips of the toes to the fingertips, to the top of the head, to the front of the belly, to the sides of the ribs. Noticing the clothes against your skin and the breath, how it just naturally flows in and out of the body. As we use our senses, closing the eyes, hearing the sound of my voice, feeling the texture of your skin, the air against your skin. Also be aware of our energy senses, our energetic senses. So where is our energy and our mind outside of the body? To a to-do list or to a need, or I need to help this person or do this thing or accomplish that, or this happened, and fear of the future. Just notice all the places the mind is scattered. And on your next few breaths, let every inhale notice where you are, and every exhale bring you back inside your body. Let every exhale be a reassuring exhale that our body is a safe place to live. That this moment in our life is a safe place to live and a great one to be present for. That there's nothing more important than what you're doing right now. If we'd like to cultivate presence in every moment of our life, then we practice being present and valuing each moment as they come. So what if just sitting and breathing was as valuable as producing an output in the world? Sitting and breathing was as valuable as doing a workout or helping someone else. What if we could cultivate the presence here, knowing that the presence inside our body each moment is replicated out inside the world, and we can do more potent, more powerful work when we connect with others, when we connect with communities, to the degree that we are present inside our body. Just take a couple more breaths, just allowing yourself to feel like this moment is valuable. Being inside your body is valuable. Maybe feeling the body for the first time in a while. Like what the body actually might need from you today. You could place a hand on a heart. Drop your chin down a little bit and just tune in to how your heart feels today. Breathe fully and deeply. And ask, how are you? As if asking a dear friend that you really cared about, like you didn't want the good, how are you? You wanted like a real answer from them. Ask your heart, your body, you on the inner, how you are. And listen in the way that's gracious, graceful. And just think of one thing you might be able to do today, and maybe it's just be present for this festival that we get a chance to participate in. But maybe it's one small thing that you might be able to do to soothe that desire from within the heart, to show up for yourself in a small yet potent way. And take one more inhale. And exhale to release. Oh, I wish I could ask you how you all feel, but you can write in the comments how your hearts feel. I could maybe read a little bit of how you are today. I've been really obsessed with the heart for the last little while. If you come to any of my classes, you know that I could ramble on it for a long time, but I think it's so important, especially with what's happening in the world right now, because this virus is attacking this area of the body, our respiratory system, and to me that's no coincidence. I think that's a direct line from some higher planes to go, hey, focus in right here. I'm going to show you where we can course correct as a species what's going on. And the heart is the seat of the soul. And so when we're able to connect with this area and really live from a deeply seated place, everything ripples out in a more truly powerful way. My teacher describes and explains yoga as the power or the practice that empowers one to overcome the obstacle of the mind so that the self can experience its own true nature. And I feel like all yoga teachers could teach every class on this one definition for the rest of our lives and never run out of things to talk about. Yoga has become such an industry here in the West, and a lot of its really delicious practices that really are a lifestyle have been kind of diluted by social media and by tight yoga pants and what it's supposed to look like when we're practicing asana, which is just, and we all know this, it's just a small part of what the practice of yoga really is. There's so many beautiful elements that we could be living our life by in order to cultivate a deeper sense of living and a more awakened experience. And so just going to this definition, we'll break it down a little bit. Yoga and all of the facets, all of the limbs of yoga, all the restraints that we carry within our life, all the behavioral patterns that we should be living by, the breath and posture and concentration and meditation and withdrawing the senses and all the things that yoga really is as a system to practice overcoming the mind. And that is pretty hard. I don't know if you can comment on here if you have figured out how to overcome the mind. You should probably be teaching this class then. But overcoming the mind is such a massive thing in this day and age. Mental health is overlooked yet so ridiculously rampant. The mental instabilities, really, and mental health should be something that we talk about more regularly. Overcoming the mind. Seems like a massive feat. Like I could never, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, I can't meditate, my mind is too crazy. It's like, that's exactly why we should sit down, and should sit down for twice as long. To have the tools to be able to figure out, how can I overcome the obstacles my mind is constantly throwing at me throughout the day? So that, why would I want to take on such a massive thing during this lifetime, trying to overcome the thing that is constantly going inside of my head? This definition says that we'd want to do it so that the self, with a capital S, can experience its own true nature. And if I wanted to do that, I'd have to know, well, what the heck is true nature of the self or the soul? And yoga teaches us that the soul has 3 primary qualities. And this, in my opinion, is what we're all actually looking throughout our life. I'm having a hard time watching myself on mirror. I'm getting distracted. I wonder if I can turn this away. I could almost do it better if I wasn't watching myself. So 3 primary things. I'm going to type them in the chat. Who thinks they know them? Satchit Ananda. Hi, everyone. I just scrolled down and missed a bunch of... Okay, cool. Satchit Ananda. These are the 3 qualities. These are what I truly feel every action a human takes in their life. They are looking for these 3 things. So Sat is our eternal nature. There's a piece of us within, beyond my mind, beyond my physical form, the energy inside of me that is eternal. It doesn't die when my form dies. It's the same part of me that was looking through my eyes when I was 6, 18, and if I'm lucky enough to live to be older, it will be the same consciousness that's looking. And that actually hasn't changed. So even though my body is affected by time and moving through a deteriorating world, the part of me that is eternal is not. My soul is eternal. Chit is the part of me that's full of wisdom. It has access to all knowledge, all collective consciousness, or whatever you might want to call it. It's a part of me that knew I shouldn't have done that thing, or knew I should have done that thing, and then later was like, damn, should have done that thing. Or it's the piece of us that just knows that we know that we know. And somebody's like, how? And you're like, I just know. That's Chit, full of wisdom. And it's the part that kind of every time, for me, this is how it feels at least, every time I have an epiphany about life or something, I'm like, that's almost so duh that I can't believe I wasn't getting it before. It's because we did get it. We always knew, and we just had to peel back enough layers for the rest of us to get on board with the realization. And so it's when we have that epiphany, we're like, oh, how was I missing that so long? We're reading a book and we're like, I know all of this, because within you, your soul actually has all knowledge. It's brilliant. And then the last piece, which is the most important, because they say, why would you care to be an eternal being who had all knowledge if we couldn't be Ananda? And Ananda is bliss. And not just Ananda as I'm happy or content. It's bliss. Bliss. Please tell me the last time you were blissful that wasn't drug or alcohol induced. Blissful. I imagine if you're on this, you probably actually have had some experiences like that in your life, hopefully recently. But they're far and few between. This one, I think, is a massive motivator for what we all do in the world. So we could go through all 3 of them and go, okay, why do we do that? Sat, we're looking to be eternal. Even just looking at how the modern day women handle their physical bodies, squirting stuff in, tightening things in, preserving, oh my God, I don't want to die or age. Looking for an aspect within us that is eternal and doesn't age. We're actually looking for soul. We're just terrified and clinging to the outside world. Looking for knowledge, Chit. We read all these books, we go to the seminars, you're listening to this Dharma talk, we're looking. We're trying to find that sense of wisdom that already lies within. And then Ananda, we're looking for bliss. And this one helps me have compassion for all humanity and for myself, because I know that most of my motivations in the world are to just feel happy. Regardless of whether I'm moving through lower functioning mechanisms like a martini or hooking up with somebody or manipulating my way into a situation from a very unconscious place, there's still a soul within that's motivated by trying to find bliss. And what's so paradoxical is that it all lies within us. And I know that is, such almost like a cliche within this world of like, yeah, lies within. But like, what are you really talking about? And I guess speaking from someone who has traveled the entire world looking for it only to land on top of it again, it really does actually lie within. And the practice of yoga is what uncovers that. Because if we're actually practicing real yoga beyond trying to get the abs and beyond trying to, do the thing the best in the class, these are all beautiful. But if that's the only reason we're practicing, we're missing the point. Because the point is to reconnect to our soul. The word yoga means to union. We're going to pull together, and we're going to allow ourselves to be present enough to even feel that we have a soul within. And when we can land on that aspect of who we are, Sat Chit Ananda, we do have access to the eternal part of who we are, which brings peace. The wise part of who we are, which brings peace. And to connect to a place in us that actually has the happiness, the fortitude, the brilliance, the genuine, lightheartedness about life that we're looking for within other things, but it's actually lasting. Because what happens in the material world, the world we're living in right now, is that no matter what I look for outside of me that might be blissful, is going to end. This cup of coffee, which if you know me, you know that these bring me a lot of bliss, and I'm trying to figure out how they could last forever, but every cup finishes. And so there's an aspect of life that is simply just sad. It just is. And I think we should talk about that more because we don't talk about it. And then most people are like constantly moving through a wave of sadness because everything comes to an end. Relationships, cups of coffee, seasons of life. Everything comes to an end and is constantly riding a wave. But we've grown up in a society that teaches us that if you don't have this, accomplish this thing and keep it forever, you have failed. Just going back to our nature, that's not possible. Everything changes. That's the one thing that's true in life. And so be able to find a point of focus within us, the soul, that does have an ability to, it generates its own bliss. Its quality is to be blissful. And to seat ourselves consciously on a regular basis through the practice of yoga within that place, then we bring presence, we bring knowledge, we bring bliss to every situation in our life versus chasing it outside of us and never quite getting it, or constantly just 5 feet away from it or just an inch away, versus relaxing that desire to reach and extend and chase, cultivating it from within, which just is an uncovering process, and then being able to bring that kind of presence to our life. And so going back literally just to the definition of yoga, which is what I'm speaking on, is that the practice of yoga, where we do asana, is to overcome the obstacle of the mind. Even if we just stuck with asana and didn't even go into the other limbs. We're doing a yoga class and we're stretching and the mind is like, oh, it's for lunch. Oh, I like this teacher. Oh, good song. Oh, I look fat. And so we have a constant ability within our asana practice to overcome the obstacle of the mind, to focus our mind back on the sensations of the body. Focus our mind on the rhythm of our breath, noticing the quality of the breath. And noticing that with the movement of the body and the direction of our higher intelligence to what am I really breathing in here? Am I breathing in stress? Am I breathing in worry? Or can I influence my body and my mind with the quality of my breath? Just literally by saying this breath can be peaceful and nourishing. This breath can be peaceful and nourishing versus this breath can bring me into stress trying to be better than the next person on my mat. So it's up to us to direct the breath, to influence the mind to go, I am at peace. And within me, lies the treasure trove that I'm actually looking for. And so we close our eyes, we bring our senses inward, and we practice how we'd like to be in the world on our mat, right? I can't expect myself to go out into the world and be completely present, totally calm mind, when most of the time shit is hitting the fan. I hope I'm allowed to cuss on here. But most of the time, like, there are like small blips of like peace and not much going on, but like most of life is hard. Can anyone like put a like or something if you're going with that? Like, I feel like most of the time you're like riding a crazy wave, and then like there's a little bit of time like sitting behind where you're like, okay, I'm gonna make it through this next thing. And so cultivating the skill set to be able to move through life knowing that there is an aspect in us that doesn't have to be afraid, that is actually peaceful, and that can generate its own sense of happiness without having the rest of the world to need to give it something. Our ability to self-regulate, or to soothe the self, or to be with self, understand self, becomes so much higher. But it really does take us having the curiosity of like, well, who am I really beyond my mind? If I don't know how many of you are in Gainesville, but Mickey Singer is such a great human at the Temple of the Universe to go listen to talk about the mind. He does such a beautiful job. But I'll never forget one of the first things I heard him say was, if you can hear your thoughts, you can watch your thoughts in your mind, like, who's the one hearing them? And I was like, what? Because that means that there's a witness behind the thoughts that are happening in my mind. So if you can sit inside your head and you can hear your thoughts going by constantly, my mind is going crazy, that means you have a mind. You aren't actually your mind. You get to have a mind and you have a body, and you are the caretakers of those two things this lifetime. You, in essence, I, in essence, are a soul. And the qualities of my soul are that I'm eternal, I'm full of wisdom, and the bliss I seek lies within me. The Dharma of a human life, the word Dharma means purpose. And I could go into all kinds of things about our unique purpose individually throughout our life, which is what we're actually all looking to fulfill. And I think it's beautiful, and I think without that, we really lack the vibrance that we can bring into the world without that connection. But I don't think we can actually find our Dharma until we find the soul. Because the soul is what generates that inner bliss, and that bliss is what we are shown. To me, the bliss that lies within us, because it's unique to each of us, is what becomes the compass of how we should act within the world. Because we're all drawn to such different things, and our personalities have different loves and passions. And so really the first orientation of finding that personal Dharma within our life is to orient back to the soul, and then to trust that there's wisdom there that will not leave us astray. And then we don't need the approval of other people. We don't need to do it like anybody else. We're never gonna do it like anybody else anyway, so just drop that. If you're gonna be like another yoga teacher, you can totally pull inspiration from other people, but you are the only one who gets to do it like you. And I don't know about you, but the people that I love to listen to are just being them, so much them that I just want to eat them up. Like, keep doing you. Never form yourself into somebody else. Identify who you are from the deepest place, and then walk confidently in that direction. You will never be led in the wrong direction from there. It's, if we find the inner target, the soul, then it doesn't matter where you shoot. You're gonna hit the bullseye no matter what. And I wanted to speak on the deeper purpose or the deeper Dharma of a human life. Because that's a coffee subject. If you have a cup of coffee, we're going to have a sip. I got an espresso machine recently from a personal note. I felt like that was a massive piece of my Dharma. So if our individual Dharma is to connect with soul and then bring that into the world in a way that feels passionate and up-leveling for us, and it serves in a way for our communities, in a positive way for our communities, then yes, keep doing that. And the Dharma of a human life is to find yoga between our soul and the soul of the supreme spirit, God, universe, whatever word works for you. So during that meditation, I had you orient towards the heart. And what happens in a human body is that we get to be this cool mix of human and divine. If you study the chakra system, we have our humanness that comes up from the bottom, 3 chakras, and then we have this divineness that comes down from the top of our head. 3 chakras on the bottom, 3 chakras on the top, and then they slam right in the heart, making this beautiful blend of realms we cannot see, power beyond what we could possibly imagine. Imagine anytime you had an idea, somebody's idea to come up with Yoga Loka, to come up with this Dharma talk, to come up with any of this. Any idea you've ever had, to write these books, I'm a mirror image, to write these books behind me. At some point, it wasn't a thought. It wasn't an idea. And then, bing, light bulb went off. Higher realm, whew, coming down into our mind as a thought, down into us, and then whoop, right here into the heart. Mixing with our humanness, which is our potential to actually act in the world. And so the heart becomes this area of, like this bowl of sacred churning, in my opinion. The heart is where we hear guidance. Because it's come down through us and been gifted and handed to us like, we think you're worthy of bringing this into the world. Here you go. I'm going to place it into your heart. Let's see what you do with it. And when we are able to connect with this piece in our heart and actually start to trust it, we can move through the world with an unbelievable amount of purpose. That again becomes our individual dharma. But what's fascinating to me is that, especially as women, I'm not sure how many men I have on this, but I've only seen women so far. We are nurturers and doers and can do an unlimited amount of things at one time. And so oftentimes our energy will move out from our heart over and 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 over, and then we're like, I'm so tired. And then what happens when we're so tired and we're drained is that that love extension from the heart starts to be tainted a little bit with resentment or conditions or judgments or need for other people to respond in certain ways, and that's no good. We all know when that happens, we're like, oh, this is like not as uplifting. This is my service. This is my dharma. Why am I not totally just being filled with energy, And one of the things that I always check in with, and I think is extremely important, is to remember that within our heart, I visualize like a power cord going from my heart center, which is like this golden bowl of light. There's a power cord, and it extends out of me and into the wall, in and up, really. And I imagine that cord is connected to spirit, to God, whatever word works for you. Because yoga teaches us also that the soul within us, the part of us Sat Chit Ananda, is the same quality as the divine or God, just in a very different quantity. We have a small bit inside of us. So within my heart lies the seed of divine essence that is non-different from the divine itself. That's crazy. That's why it's not crazy. That's cool as shit. But that's why it's eternal, because God is eternal. That's why it has all knowledge, because God obviously has all knowledge. And that's why it's blissful, because it's constantly in this state of prema, or love, divine love. And when we are connected back to where that essence within us comes from, it becomes unlimited. And so this is why a sadhana, or daily spiritual practice of remembrance, and this can be getting on our yoga mat. This can be meditation. This can be prayer. I think prayer is the most potent way to establish this reconnection, this ultimate yoga, uniting our soul with the supreme soul. When we want that connection, that ultimate yoga of our life to be really powerful within us and one that we feel, so that our love actually doesn't run out, so that our service doesn't become one that has expectations on the other side, we have to spend time cultivating and remembering what that connection feels like. And we do that through meditation, prayer, yoga, And then eventually the service itself, or the giving itself, or the loving itself also becomes the ultimate way that we practice that reconnection. But if we haven't oriented ourselves towards what that feels like, then oftentimes it gets lost within the world when we're reaching out. Because we haven't actually remembered, like, okay, where am I actually sourcing this from? Am I doing this because I need to prove myself in the world? Am I doing this because I feel like I should? All this externally stimulated reasons for why I'm serving and doing and creating. Or if I returned all of my energy within and allowed myself to reconnect and descend into the heart of who I am as a human, recognizing that I wouldn't be here in this physical form if I didn't have a mission to do. And that the body is the soul's chance to be here. Without my body, I wouldn't have a heart. And heart as in like an energetic place. The heart is the seat of the soul. So without my physical body, which I should be taking beautiful care of and treating it as if it were my best friend, because without it, we don't get a chance to do anything. And I think that that's a continuous process through life, especially as women. But it is nice to remember that my body is my soul's chance to be here. And my soul holds my heart, okay? Or my heart holds my soul. They're in the same place. Let me catch my breath for a second. I went on a bunch of tangents. Send me some, yeah, this is where, okay, resonating, good. Yay. Okay. So the point here is that from within us, our soul's ultimate journey, everyone's, is to reconnect with the Supreme Soul. And the most primary way that I teach, or the most like normal, or what it's a most common way that I teach, is to reconnect to the divine heart within us, and that is called the Paramatma. Param, and then Atma, which is the super soul. Within our hearts lies the super soul. So we have our soul within us, and then we also have the soul of God. And really the practice of yoga is to reunite those two. And I know that I've been fortunate that I haven't done a lot of yoga studio teaching. I've done more community-based stuff, and obviously I think that's why I'm here as well, but a lot more community stuff, private stuff, retreats, getting into areas where yoga wouldn't normally be found. I've done so many classes at CrossFit gyms and breweries and people's back decks, and I do that because I believe we're all searching for this exact same thing, and you don't have to be a size whatever and want to go to a hot studio, although hot studios are great in some senses, to be able to get the ultimate practice of yoga, or to have access to the higher knowledge of what we're actually here for as humans. And so to me, the practice of yoga is so much more than this industry. It's actually the Dharma of all human life, is to create yoga again. We're looking to feel yoga in union within our partnerships with humans. We're looking to feel that with each other on this community. I'm looking to feel that sense of connection with my dog and with my plants and with the earth. We're looking for communion, the union between two things. And I'm looking to get all aspects of who I am in union with each other, practicing what it takes to overcome the obstacles of the mind to return within, so that I can wake up to the reality of my soul, and so that soul essence can move through me into the world. And when we can connect back to that part of who we are, we have an unlimited amount of access and transparency between this world and the other, which I think is really beautiful. We have transparency. The veil is lifted between this world and the other, where I don't need to have people like my Instagram in order to know what I have to say is important, and it needs to be delivered right now. To know that this service is required, that I should go open the door, put my hands on that person, send that text. I don't need external approval like the world has shown me. Follow lines, sit in line, do these things, accomplish these things. I don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore. because we're generating a sense of self-esteem. We're generating true esteem of the self because we've practiced seating ourselves there. And there's two last little pieces here that I wanted to mention is that when we are seated within the soul there, and we are taking time every single day with our practices and our sadhana to develop what that conversation with God sounds like. I'm going to use the word God because it just works for me. Is we start to get a chance, we recognize that the soul's actual, like its favorite thing to do, what it's wanting to do is to love, to be in loving service, and to experience prema, which is divine love. And they say that the soul actually enjoys loving more than it enjoys being loved, which is cool. So that we can even think in our own lives, like what are the most gratifying, uplifting experiences we've ever had? It's when we've shared our heart and loved bravely and fully. And then obviously the reciprocation of that is what is the ultimate purpose of life, is to get into that exchange, but with the divine. And then we recognize that, if I have Paramatma within me, super soul within me, that means every other living creature on the planet is an opportunity for me to serve and to be in a loving exchange with that soul. And in that, I'm cultivating what it feels like to really be living on purpose. And then my purpose comes into what I do. I don't go looking for my purpose. And I think that this is a really massive thing that I'm hoping to share through my platforms and through teaching and with you guys, is that especially for a younger generation as well, that I feel a lot of angst around the way that especially younger women are being shown what the standard is by women my age and slightly older and slightly younger, and the way that they are behaving, and the way that they're constantly seeking outward and constantly freezing what's happening and orienting ourselves only to the body and really not asking these deeper questions. And I think we demonstrate what's important to us as a species by the way in which we spend our time. And time is the most valuable asset. Obviously, it's the only thing we cannot, like no amount of money could buy back time. And every single day from the moment we wake up, we are demonstrating to higher existence, to source, to God, what's important to us. Just like within a relationship, if I want that person to feel important to me, then I demonstrate to them that I love them. I demonstrate through communication, through quality time, through service to them. And in the same way, we're looking to cultivate a relationship or union with God. That's the ultimate purpose, or to source. And so we have to dedicate time every day to cultivating what it feels like to be in relationship with our own soul, listening to the guidance that we hear, quieting the mind as often as you can, as well as you can, with no judgment, practicing yoga, overcoming the mind, remembering who we are, getting curious about who we are. What does my soul feel like? What does it feel like for me? What does the sound of my soul's voice sound like? And can I get familiar with that? Can I journal? Can I record my voice in my phone? Whatever it means to start to create a conversation with you in the deepest aspect of who you are, beyond the mind and beyond the body. Knowing that there is a piece of you that's eternal, and it's our job to get to know it. There is no one that's coming to hand you your deepest self. No one coming to hand you your intuition or hand you your soul. You got it. I've heard before, like, I heard someone say, I gotta create my soul. And I was like, are you God? You didn't create the soul, but you can totally find it. And save yourself some money and just sit where you are and do it. You don't have to do it. I mean, cool, you can go to India and do all the things if you want to, like I did, but inevitably it was all just an unveiling of what already lied within. And I think it is all totally useful. I think we have, an ability to follow the bliss of our life. We are giving guidance. If you love to laugh, if you love to cook, if you love to teach, if you love to whatever it is, do those things over and over again, because bliss is a part of our soul. And if we're chasing that in a mindful way, and we're chasing that from a really, a safe, obviously, way. I'm not encouraging, because at 3 martinis in, you could feel like you're feeling bliss. But if it leads to pain afterwards, we know it was actually not the bliss of the soul. One time I was told to, this could be useful for orienting what things are actually soul and what things are not, is that in the material world, which is all my temporary nature, my body and the things that I eat and this poor cup of coffee that's now cold and all the things that change. In the material world, if it starts out sweet, then usually it leads to pain over time. And in the spiritual world, if it starts out painful, like actually sitting down to meditate, then it usually ends up sweet over time. And so walking the spiritual path and actually practicing yoga in our life, which is what we're ultimately all doing always, it's not easy to begin with. And it's not going to get easy at the beginning. It takes an actual real sense of inner stamina to go, I'm going to demonstrate that I care about presence in my life. Because if I'm looking for reasons to not care, I'm going to find them endlessly in the world that we live in now. I'm going to constantly be distracted. If I'm looking for ways to be distracted and judgmental and resentful towards the world and full of fear, like, look no further, just flip your phone on. What I want is to, me personally, but truly, me personally, I want the sacred to be important again. Because it ultimately is. If anyone steps to their mat, even if they stepped on it for the wrong reason, I believe if they're there and we're yoga teachers, they want to hear this. Some aspect of them is looking for what I just explained, to be connected to their soul, and then for that soul to connect back to the divine, because ultimate, unlimited, untainted power and love really only can come from that place. And I truly believe and have faith that if we are called to share this knowledge in any way, even if it's just been asana at first, then it is our job to share the deeper knowledge as well. Because I have never shared the qualities of the soul with someone. It didn't matter if I was in a brewery or any place, really. I was just thinking of, like, or on Zoom into someone else's gym, or like, it doesn't matter. I still share it anyway, because you never know whose ears it might fall on, and it might just be like, whoa, I am not my body, I'm not my mind, I have those. There's an aspect in me that is real and that is lasting. Talk about an anxiety release, right? To not think, oh my God, I only have these couple years and I have to accomplish everything and fix everyone's lives and I have to be perfect while I do it. It's no wonder that mental health is just, because we are striving in a way that isn't actually tangible. We can't actually do that. And our focus is on the outside instead of the inner. And if we can start to orient ourselves back towards the inner, we really do uncover an aspect of life and a potency to life that we're all really looking for. Oh, I feel like I just rambled forever, and I hope it was useful. Does anyone have any, actually want to say, does anyone have a question or a comment about any of that? My biggest takeaway is to pick a way that you can demonstrate with your time every single day that you care about the sacred in your life. I don't care what word you use, God, divine, universe, it doesn't matter. But there is a piece of that same power that lies within you, the soul. And spend time every day cultivating the awareness of both. The awareness that there is a power inside of you that's beating your heart, keeping your body alive. There's an energy that's flowing through you that's, bringing the consciousness to your body. And what does that sound like? Knowing that the heart is where we hear the soul. So orienting back to the heart every single day in some way. And then remember that ultimately the wisdom that you're hearing through the heart is actually the wisdom of God. It's just translated through your beautiful little voice. Personalized for you in your personal Dharma through your life. Talk about a night. You think you got to pick which person to text and ask what you should do with your life. Just go in and get like supreme approval. That sounds great. That is the only thing, in my opinion, that we can really walk confidently through the world with. But what a taboo that would be to say. Thank you, thank you. Anybody have a question or tell me how you feel? Comment so I know. I will say this was one of the most challenging things I've ever done, to watch myself on mirror form. But I did it. I'm glad I didn't practice before. I would have had anxiety. But I am a soul. I so appreciate you all. And if you are a yoga teacher, my challenge to you is to never teach a class again without mentioning the soul and what all of our Dharma really is. The heart is where the soul sits. And we have unlimited amounts of energy and love to give if we can orient ourselves back to those places. Yay. Thanks, everyone. Chrissy, love you, girl. Liz, love you, love you. I think I need to be finished to let another teacher on. Please, if I can serve anyone in any way, let me know. You can reach me here, or we'll just, since I'm on Facebook, there's my name. You can find my name. But I'm more than happy to talk about this on any platform with anyone. It's so important, and if I can serve you in your personal life or your communities, then please just know that I'm here. This is the most important thing that any of us could be doing right now. And without this soulful orientation, the outside world will never be fixed. We can't expect, or healed, I guess would be a better word, if we are wanting a change in the world outside of us, we cannot expect that without an equal and corresponding change within ourselves. And so please spend a little bit of time every day shining inward and just getting curious about how beautiful it might be inside of you beyond the mind. Remember, the soul is not the mind. The soul sits in the heart. Have an awesome day, everyone. I love you. Yeah, please reach out to me. You can message me here on Facebook, or Instagram is the same thing, my name. And we can connect. I'm here for you all. Appreciate you. Haribo.